Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theruvan Saranai, good evening, Venerable Mahāsangha, Sayales, other venerables and brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we are going to start on a new lesson, a new tika, the Vedanā tika, and we'll be talking about the first term of the Vedanā tika. Before we move on to the Vedanā tika itself, we'll first talk about this question: what makes the tika so significant? Now, the reason why I thought of discussing this question was based on a number of questions that I received over the last couple of weeks. So why do we study the tika and why is it so significant? Tikas are ways of classifying ultimate realities. It is a way of easily understanding the different characteristics of each ultimate reality in a very logical manner. Now, if we were to study the tikas, say for instance, not the tikas, the ultimate reality, say for instance, you take one Chetasika, the Lobha Chetasika, and if Lord Buddha listed out characteristics, there would be more than 200 characteristics in that list. And if we were to study them, it would be very cumbersome and it would not be even logical. However, when it comes to tika, it's a very easy way of understanding each of the characteristics of all of these ultimate realities. Now, what are tika? Tika are either tika, triplets, or dukkha, couplets. And each tika consists of 3 pada. A pada is a term. So these 3 terms are not 3 random terms, but they are 3 terms that are related to each other in some way. And it provides the basis of classifying the ultimate realities under 3 categories. For example, the example I have given here is the kusala tika. And here, the 89 chitta, the 52 chetasika, the 28 rupa, and nibbana. All of the ultimate realities are classified under kusala dhamma, akusala dhamma, and abhyakata dhamma. And what is the relationship of these 3 terms to each other? It is the ethical nature. So kusala means wholesome things. Akusala means unwholesome things. And abhyakata means neither wholesome nor unwholesome. So the basis for this classification is the ethical nature of the ultimate realities. Likewise, when it comes to dukkha tika, couplets, a couplet consists of 2 pada or 2 terms. And these are related to each other again in some way. And again, it provides the basis for classifying the ultimate realities. So if I take an example, we can take the hetu dukkha. So hetu dukkha has 2 pada, hetu dhamma and na hetu dhamma. Hetu dhamma means the states that are roots. Na hetu dhamma means the states that are not roots. So under hetu dhamma, we will be classifying all the roots. Now, what are the roots? Lobha, dosa, moha, alobha, adosa, amoha. Those 6 chetasika will fall under hetu dhamma. Everything else, the remaining 46 chetasika, the 89 chitta, the 28 rupa, and nibbana will fall under the other term, na hetu dhamma. So that is the importance of tika. So here is an example. I've taken panya chetasika, the chetasika or the mental factor of wisdom. And if tika were not there, what we will have instead would be something like this. So we would have a list of characteristics for this term. For example, panya can either be wholesome, kusala, or abhyakata. It can either be associated with pleasurable feeling or neither displeasurable nor pleasurable feeling. Can be vipaka dhamma dhamma, or neva vipaka, na vipaka dhamma dhamma. can either be upadina upadanya, can be anupadina anupadanya, or can be anupadina anupadanya dhamma. They are roots, can be mundane or supramundane. So it's a whole list of things. And I haven't given the entire list, but the list is more than 200 terms. So it will make it very difficult if we were to list the characteristics of all these 89 chittas, the 52 cetasika, the 28 rupa, and nibbana. However, the method where Lord Buddha used to teach us the qualities or the characteristics of the ultimate realities were the Mātika, which is very logical and very concise. That is why the Mātika are so significant. The Kusala Tika. What is the significance of the Kusala Tika? This gatha or this verse was taken from the Dhammapada, Buddha Vagga, verse number 183. Sabba papassa akaranam kusalassa upasampada sachitta pariyodapana etang buddhana sasana. What it means, we'll take sentence by sentence. Sabba papassa akaranam. Avoid all unwholesome deeds, to avoid all evil. Sabba papassa means all evil. Kusalassa upasampada, to cultivate wholesome deeds or cultivate good. Sachitta pariyodapana, to purify one's own mind. Etang buddhana sasanam, this is the teaching of Buddhas. So it's not just Gautama Buddha, but all Buddhas teach only these three things. That is, sabba papassa akaranam, to avoid all evil, to cultivate wholesome deeds, to purify your mind. And it is the basis of any Lord Buddha's teachings. That is why the Kusala Tika is so significant, and that is why the entire Abhidhamma Pitaka starts with the Kusala Tika. So Kusala Dhamma and Akusala Dhamma comprises of the Kamma, the wholesome and the unwholesome actions which result in a being born over and over again, and it's the cause for having the vipaka and all the other results of the karma. So this is why Kusala Tika is so important. And if you look at the Patthana Prakarana, which is the 7th book, the last book of the Abhidhamma Pitaka, the vast majority of the contents of it is based on the Kusala Tika, whereas the remaining, the Vedanā and all of the others are mentioned very briefly in a summary-like manner, whereas the section on the Kusala Tika is what is given as an expanded section of the Patthana Prakarana. So the topic for today is Vedanā. And now let's talk about the importance of Vedana. I'm sure you all have heard of the Paticca Samuppada, the depending arising or dependent origination. And here there are 12 parts of this, which I haven't mentioned all. I've just taken the first few. So it goes as avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnanam, and so on. And here I have highlighted Vedanā paccaya tanha. Dependent on feeling arises craving. Now, what is craving? Craving is tanha, the lobha cetasika. This is the cause for suffering, the second noble truth. Now, as you know, Lord Buddha's teaching is basically a cause and effect sort of teaching. The shortest version of this cause and effect is the 4 noble truths. The first noble truth being suffering, dukkha satcha, and then the second, the cause for suffering, which is tanha. And then we have nirodha satcha, nibbana, which is the cessation of suffering. And the cause for cessation of suffering would be the magga satcha, which is the 8-fold path. So that is the shortest version of the cause and effect teaching. The intermediate length teaching would be the paticca-samuppada, the dependent origination, where there are 12 parts in it. And finally, we have the patthāna pakaraṇa, which gives a more lengthier cause and effect teaching. It's an extremely lengthy teaching in that. Now, here, Vedanā paccaya tanha, Lord Buddha discovered the whole process of how the reason for people, individuals, or any being to go on in samsara. And the main reason would be tanha. But what causes tanha? It's Vedana. So this is the place that we can attack or we can focus on in order to break this link and stop ourselves from going on and on in samsara. So again, to elaborate on the same thing. So Vedanā paccaya tanha, this is the place that Lord Buddha focused on through vipassana or insight meditation. And the focus is on breaking this link and thereby resulting in liberation from suffering. So the basis of vipassana are the cattaro satipatthāna, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And the 4 are kāyānupassana, the foundation of mindfulness in contemplation of the body; vedanānupassana, the foundation of mindfulness in contemplation of feelings; cittanupassana, the foundation of mindfulness in contemplation of consciousness; and finally, dhammānupassana, the foundation of mindfulness in contemplation of mental object. Now, I have highlighted here Vedanānupassana. It doesn't mean that Vedanānupassana is superior to the others, just to emphasize on the importance of Vedana. So basically, in order to free oneself or eliminate all defilements, it is required for one to develop in all 4 of these satipatthāna. Now, one may start from kāyānupassana and then go on to develop the others, or one may start from vedanānupassana and go on to develop the others. Ultimately, the result is to be well-versed or be able to have mindfulness in all 4 of these things. That is the body, Vedana, feelings, consciousness, and mental objects. So Vedanānupassana is one form of meditation which one can start doing. It's for lay people like us, where we don't have much time to go into samatha meditation, that is to absorb, to go into absorption sort of meditations, develop jhana, and then go into vipassana. One could directly start meditating on, it's called shushka vidashaka. One could directly start doing vipassana. And Vedanānupassana is one such form which anybody can start doing and gives very good results. Now, the other aspect that I wanted to highlight was the importance of Abhidhamma for the practice. Now, Abhidhamma goes into the deeper aspects, the very subtle aspects of the Lord Buddha's teachings. It's more, one may think that it's a very theoretical thing and has got nothing to do with the practice. However, that is not the case. When one's mind becomes sharper and starts to experience the finer things, the rupa kalapas and the different consciousness, one can always correlate those experiences to what one has learned through the Abhidhamma teaching. So Abhidhamma is extremely important and extremely helpful for someone who is walking on the path, for someone who is practicing the Dhamma. Therefore, one must not just study the Tripitaka, but also put an effort, start meditating and start to develop and train one's mind, because our ultimate goal is to purify our minds and remove all these defilements that we have. Therefore, simply by studying Abhidhamma or the Sutta Pitaka or the Vinaya Pitaka will not give us that release or that cleansing. But what will cleanse our minds is the practice or the meditation that we carry out. Now we move on to the topic of the day, Vedanā tika, triplet of feeling. So the Vedanā tika is a sabbaladhanama tika, which means that its name is derived from all three terms of the tika. The Vedanā tika is sappadesa, which means that it's selective or not inclusive, because it does not include all ultimate realities. For example, it doesn't contain the Vedana Chetasika, the 28 Rupa, and Nibbana. The three terms of Vedanā tika are Sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā dhammā, Dukkāya vedanāya sampayuttā dhammā, and Adukkama Sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā dhammā. Now, I said that this is a sabbaladhanama tika. Now, if you look at this, the word vedanāya is given in all three terms. So that is common to all three terms in this matika. So that is how the word Vedana or feeling has been derived from. The name of this tika has been derived from. So the word Vedana means feeling. Sampayuttā means associated with. So Dhamma, the states. Sampayuttā, associated with. Sukhāya Vedana, pleasurable feeling. That's the first term. States associated with distressful feeling is the second term. And finally, the states which are associated with neither distressful nor pleasant feeling is our third term. So that comprises of our Vedanā tika. First of all, let us look at Vedana Chetasika. Vedana is a mental factor. It is one of the universal mental factors, the Sabbacitta Sadharana, which means that is Vedana is associated with all consciousness. There isn't a single consciousness that does not have Vedana. So every single consciousness is associated with Vedana. Vedana can be analyzed as either threefold or fivefold. And if we take the threefold method, we get Sukha, pleasant, Dukkha, painful, and Adukkama Sukha, neither pleasant nor painful. However, if we go according to the Indriya or the governing faculties, we can subdivide feeling into 5. We get Sukha, pleasant. This is basically the physical aspect or the Kaya Vedana, what the body feels. Dukkha is the painful feeling that the body feels. So Sukha, Dukkha, then we have Somanasa is the mental joy, Domanasa the mental displeasure, and Upekkha, equanimity. Upekkha can either be bodily feeling or mental equanimity. So why are these 5 called Indriya? That's because they exercise lordship or control over their associated states, the Chitta and the Chetasika, with respect to their affective mode of experiencing the object. So if I give an example, let's say a person is very angry. If a person is very angry, that person, during that period, there is a rising of consciousness, Chitta, and mental factors, Chetasika. But what the person predominantly experiences is that domanasa, the displeasure in that person's mind. So that is why when it comes to experiencing a certain object, the Vedana or feeling has a way of dominating or having sort of lordship or control over the other Chitta and Chetasika, the mind and the mental factors. All right, so now we are going to look at the word sampayuttā, associated with. Now, Associated with means joined equally or together in a variety of ways. And what are these ways? Ekuppada, ekanirodha, ekavattuka, and ekarammana. Ekuppada means arising together, having a common origin. Ekanirodha, common cessation. They all cease together at the same time. Ekavattuka, they have the same base. Ekarammana, they have a common object. So let's look at an example to understand these four. Let's say a person is looking at a tree. Now, at this time, the object is the tree. So that is the common object or the ekarammana. Ekavattuka, the common base. So when a person looks at this tree and sees the tree, what arises here are the eye consciousness and the sampayuttā sadharana cedasika, the 7 mental factors. These arise on this chakku pasada rupa. So that is the common base for the origin of the mind and the mental factors. And they arise together at the same time. That is why they are called ekuppada. They have a common origin. They don't arise one after the other. No, they all arise together at the exact same time. So the chakku vijnana and the sampayuttā sadharana cedasika will arise together. And then they will cease at some point. After one chittakshana, they will cease, and that is ekanirodha. It happens together. So the mind and the mental factors, they all cease together. So basically we have a common object, ekarammana, a common base, ekavattuka. They have a common origin, ekupada, and a common cessation, ekanirodha. Now, the word sukha has many meanings depending on the context. And the Atthasālinī gives us several definitions for the word sukha. In one sense, it's called pleasurable feeling, in another, root of happiness, and pleasurable object, condition of happiness, objective station, occasioning pleasure, freedom from cares, and nibbānic happiness. Now let's look at each of them. Pleasurable feeling. So here it's given as sukhasacha pahana, by getting rid of sukha. So this is in context of when a person develops the 5th jhana. In order to develop the 5th jhana, they have to get rid of the sukha, which was in the 4th jhana. So by getting rid of sukha, here the word sukha, what is implied is the pleasurable feeling. That is the Vedanā cetasika. And then the next example, root of happiness. Sukha is the appearance of the Buddha. Sukha is the state of freedom from lust in the world. So basically, when a Buddha comes, when a Buddha arises in the world, the Buddha will teach us the path of elimination of suffering. So therefore, the appearance of Buddha itself is considered as the root of happiness. And so sukha here is root of happiness. Pleasurable object. Mahali, inasmuch as matter is sukha, falls and descends on sukha. So here, what the pleasurable object, the object that gives rise to pleasure, is considered as sukha in this sentence. Condition of happiness. Because the word merit is the synonym of sukha. So basically, if one does good deeds, meritorious deeds, that will result in present sukha as well as future sukha. So it is something that will lead to happiness. So it's a condition of happiness. Objective station, place occasioning pleasure. Not easy is it, bhikkhus, to succeed in describing how pleasant are the heavens. They know not bliss who see not Nandana. So here what it means is that the pleasures that are there in heaven is not easy to describe. So here, sukha, the word sukha is basically given in relation to heavens, the different types of pleasurable sensations that one can experience in heaven. So here Lord Buddha says that a person who has not seen heaven does not know what kind of bliss or happiness one can achieve in those planes. And then freedom from cares. These states, that is jhana, constitute a sukha life in this very world. So it's given as ditta dhamma sukha vihara ete dhamma. So when one goes into these jhanas, particularly if you take the rupavachara and arupavachara jhana, a person can be free from worries, troubles. So freedom from cares, it's basically abhyapajja. The word abhyapajja is what is given here. It's the freedom from those from troubles and worries. So when one is in these jhanas, there is no room for any akusala cetasika, any unwholesome states to come in when the person is in that state. So that is why it is called freedom from cares. And finally, nibbanic happiness. Nibbana is the highest sukha. Nibbanam paramang sukham. So here sukha is given in a different sense. It's in relation to what a person can experience if one becomes an enlightened person. However, what the meaning that we take when it comes to Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā is the first one, which is pleasurable feeling. So as I mentioned before, the meaning that we take when it comes to Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā is pleasurable feeling. It's the Vedana or the feeling mental factor. The word Vedana is basically what is felt, what is manifest, the manifest Vedana. So Sukha means the pleasurable, the pleasure that one gets, the pleasurable Vedana, and Vedana is basically what is felt. Now we will take the section in the Nikkepa-khanda, how Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā is described. So as all Mātika in the Nikkepa-khanda, it starts with a question. Katame dhammā Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā. Which are the states associated with pleasurable feeling? And then we go on to the answer. Sukha bhūmiyā, pleasurable soil or arising in pleasurable soil. Kāmāvacare, in the sense sphere. Rūpāvacare, fine material sphere. Apariyāpanne, the unincluded sphere, or the supramundane sphere. So unincluded and supramundane is the same thing. Sukhang Vedana tapetva. Sukhang Vedanam tapetva means excluding pleasurable feeling. Thang sampayutto, associated therewith, are sanyakkhando, sankharakkhando, viññānakkkhando, the three aggregates of perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Ime dhamma Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā. These are the states associated with pleasurable feeling. So let's put it all together in an easy to understand manner. Which are the states associated with pleasurable feeling? Excluding pleasurable feeling, associated therewith the aggregates of perception, mental formations, and consciousness, which arise in pleasurable soil, namely the sense sphere, fine material sphere, and unincluded sphere. These are the states associated with pleasurable feeling. Now we'll take word by word and see what it really means. Sukha bhūmiyā, pleasurable soil. What is Sukha bhūmiyā or pleasurable soil? How do we understand it? Let's take an example which was found in Atthasālinī. When we are describing soil, we may describe them based on their color. They may be red, black, coppery. So basically, if you say red soil, the word red describes the soil. In other words, it's an adjective, where whereas soil is the noun. So similarly, if you take Sukha Bhumiyam, Sukha is the word that describes the Bhumi. So Sukha, pleasurable feeling, is what describes the soil. So it is the adjective. And where are these Bhumi, or what these Bhumi are, we will talk about in the next slide. Now we will take the words Bhumi. Bhumi is basically the locality. Again, we'll take an example from Atthasālinī. When we say sugar soil or rice soil, it means the locality where the sugar and rice grow or thrive. So likewise, where will you find Sukha Vedana? It will be in association with the consciousness. So the consciousness is the occasion for the arising of pleasure, and that is why it is called pleasurable soil. So the soil is basically the consciousness, and Sukha, the Bhumi, Sukha, pleasurable, is the Sukha Vedana. So it's the adjective that describes the soil. So what is Sukha Bhumiyam? Sukha is the Vedana Chetasika, and the Bhumi is the consciousness, or the occasion for the arising of pleasure. And what are these Bhumi, or what kind of Bhumis are there, or what kind of consciousness? They are the Kāmāvachara, Rūpāvachara, and Apariyapanna, the sense sphere, fine material sphere, and the supramundane spheres. Sukham Vedanam Tapetva, excluding pleasurable feeling. Why is Vedana excluded from this triplet? Now, that is the question we need to ask. Now, if you see here, every single consciousness has a Vedana Chetasika. It may be Sukha, Dukkha, Upekha, could be any of those. But there is only one Vedana with this Chitta. So if you take the Vedana out and then ask the question, what is this Vedana associated with? Then we will have to say it's associated with the Chitta and the other Chetasika, excluding Vedana. But you can never say that that Vedana is associated with Vedana, because it cannot be associated with its own self. Because what we are looking at here is individual Chitta Chetasika. So you look at one particular consciousness and their associated mental factors, then you find only one Vedana Chetasika. That is why if you take these individual Chitta Chetasikas, you will not find a Vedana that is associated with another Vedana. For that reason, Vedana Chetasika is excluded from all three terms of this tika matika. So for the reason which we mentioned before, because there's only one Vedana associated with the Chitta and Chetasika, we say Sukham Vedana Tapetva. Tham sampayuttā, associated with this Vedana Chetasika, there are three aggregates. Those are the Sanya, Sankara, and Vijnana. Perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Now, why are there only three aggregates here? The fourth aggregate is, the second aggregate is Vedana. So we have, out of the 5 aggregates, we are considering only the 4 Nama aggregates. But because Vedana is taken out, excluded, we don't talk about the aggregate of feeling or the Vedana Khandho. Associated therewith means associated with that accepted pleasurable feeling. So we don't take the pleasurable feeling, we take everything else. So again, here what is described is the Vedana Chetasika or the Vedana Khandha, which we take out and form the question and ask, what are the states that are associated with it? And then we get the Vijnana Khandha, the Chitta, and the remaining other aggregates, the Sanya Khandha and Sankhara Khandha. Now, this is a chart which gives the 89 consciousness, and what I have marked in yellow are the places where you would expect to find the Sukha Vedana. So we mentioned that there are 3 bhumi, the Kāmāvachara, Rūpāvachara, and Lokuttara bhumi, that you would find the Sukha Vedana, sampayuttā dhammā. And under the unwholesome, 4 out of the 8 Lobha Chitta are Somanassa Sahagata. So there is Sukha Vedana there. 2 out of the 8 in the Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chittas, and 1 out of the 3 Ahetuka Kriya Chitta have the Somanassa or the Sukha Vedana. And then when it comes to the Sobana, half of it, 4 out of the 8 Kusala, 4 out of the 8 Vipaka, and 4 out of the 8 Kriya are Somanassa. When it comes to the Rūpāvachara and Lokuttara, we need to consider the jhana. So basically, if you are looking at the 5 jhana system, then the first 4 jhanas are Sukha, and the last one is Upekka. So we take the first 4 jhanas in both the Rūpāvachara and the Lokuttara. Now we'll move on to the Atthakatha Khandang description. Again, it starts with the question, Kathame Dhamma Sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā, which are the states associated with pleasurable feeling. Now here Lord Buddha goes on to list out what exactly is meant by Sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā. So the first is Kāmāvachara Kusalato Chattaro Somanassa Sahagata Chittuppada. The 4 sense sphere wholesome risings of consciousness accompanied by joy. Akusalato Chattaro, the 4 unwholesome states. Kāmāvachara Kusalassa Vipakatocha Kiryatocha Pancha, sense sphere wholesome resultants and 5 sense sphere functionals. Rūpāvachara tika chatukka jhana kusalatocha vipakatocha kiryatocha, 3 or 4 wholesome resultant and functional jhana of the fine material sphere. Lokuttara tika chatukka jhana kusalatocha vipakatocha, 3 or 4 wholesome and wholesome resultant jhana of the supramundane sphere. Etuppannan sukham vedana tapetva. Again, it mentions except pleasurable feeling arising therewith. Ime dhamma sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā. These are the states associated with pleasurable feeling. So here we have given the list of the individual contents that were given in the previous slide. And now let's go on to describing what each of these really mean. So here, Sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā dhamma, we'll first take the Kāmāvachara, the sense sphere section. So it was mentioned that there are 4 Mahakusala. The 4 Mahakusala are the ones that you find here under the Sobana, beautiful consciousness, the 4 Kusala. And then the 4 Akusala, which was stated, are the first 4 Lobha Chitta, because they are Somanassa Sahagata. Next, we come to the 6 Kusala Vipaka. What are these Kusala Vipaka? We get 4 from the Mahakusala, which are part of the Sobana consciousness, the first 4 Mahavipaka Chitta. And then we have in the Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka section, we have a Somanassa Sahagata Santirana, and we have a Sukha Sahagata Kaya Vinyana. So those 6 chittas are what is mentioned here as 6 Kusala Vipaka. And then what are the 5 Kriya Chitta? Again, we have 4 Maha Kriya Chitta, and we have the Hasituppada Chitta, which was classified under the ahetuka kriya chitta. So those comprise of the 19 consciousness that are given here under Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā. And what is meant by 3 or 4 jhana in the following phrases? So we read the phrase Rupavachara tika chatukka jhana, Lokuttara tika chatukka jhana, meaning 3 or 4 wholesome resultant, and functional jhana. So let's see what this 3 or 4 means. So in our previous lessons, we learned about 2 systems of classifying jhana based on the individual's faculties. One method is the 5 jhana system, that is for an individual with average faculties. But if a person has very sharp or very keen faculties, he will go through a process of 4 jhanas, a 4 jhana system. So 3 or 4 jhanas, what is meant here is according to the 5 jhana system. If you look at the first 4 jhana, they are all associated with sukha, and the 5th jhana is upekkha. So what we take here under Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā are the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th jhanas. So that is the 4. And then under the 4 jhana system, Sukha Vedana is found in only the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd jhana. So there are 3 jhanas there. So and that is the 3 in that tika chatukka jhana. So tika is according to the 4 jhana system. Chatukka, 4, is according to the 5 jhana system. And these subdivisions apply only to Rupavachara and Lokuttara chitta, because all Arupavara chitta are upekkha. Upekkha ekaggata chitta. Now let's look at the Lokuttara chitta. Now there are different ways of classifying the Lokuttara chitta based on these jhana. We can either classify them without considering any jhana, that is the short method. And we get 8 chitta using that method, the 4 kusala and the 4 phala chitta, the 4 magga and 4 phala. And according to the 5 jhana system, we get 40 chitta, 20 magga and 20 phala. And according to the 4 jhana system, we get 32 in total, 16 magga and 16 phala. So this is the 5 jhana system where you get 40 chitta in total. So according to the short method, we get Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahatta, 4 magga and 4 phala of the same name. That's how we get 8. But if you go according to the 5 jhana system, each of these will be multiplied by 5, because you get 5 jhanas for each of them. So the first 4, the 1st jhana, 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana, and 4th jhana are all comprised of Sukha Vedana. Therefore, under Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā, we will be taking these 32 consciousness and their associated mental factors. And the 5th jhana will be considered in the last, the adukkama Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā, that we will be talking about later on. So for this term, Sukhāya, Vedanāya, sampayuttā, dhammā, we will be considering the first 4 jhanas in this 5 jhana system. And now moving on to the 4 jhana system. So this is the one which a person individual with keen faculties would obtain, the 4 jhana system. And again, we have the 8 magga chitta and the phala chitta, and it becomes expanded to give a total of 32. So here there is a mistake in the slide. Instead of 5, the number of chittan, it should actually be 4. So in total, we will get 32 chitta. So here, what we are considering are the first 3, the 1st jhana, 2nd jhana, and 3rd jhana. because they are the ones which have Sukhāya Vedanā. The fourth jhana in this, according to this system, will be an Upekkha Vedanā Chitta. So we get a total of 8 times 3, 24 Chitta for Sukhāya Vedanā. So according to these 3 methods, let's see how the numbers differ. In the short method, we get a total of 89 Chitta. The 4 jhana system method, we get a total of 110 and 121 according to the 5 jhana system. And as you can see, the Kāmāvachara Chittas, the numbers do not change because they are not classified according to jhanas. There are no jhanas in Kāmāvachara. The 12 Arupāvachara are always Upekkha Ekaggata. So there is no further subdivision. Therefore, the numbers are the same, 12, 12, 12 for all 3. However, according in Rupāvachara and Lokuttara is where you will see the change. The short method gives the 5 jhana system for Rupāvachara, and as well as in the 5 jhana system in the 121 Chitta. So there the 15 Chittas are the same. What differs is the 4 jhana system because we come down to 12 Chitta. However, Lokuttara Chitta are given in completely 3 different ways. In the short method, it's mentioned as 8 Chitta, and then because it's not considering any of the jhana. And according to the 4 jhana system, we have 32 Lokuttara Chitta, and according to the 5 jhana system, we get 40 Lokuttara Chitta. So this is, in a nutshell, looking at the 110 Chitta according to the 4 jhana system and the 121 Chitta according to the 5 jhana system. Again, given in yellow are where you will find the Sukha Vedanā Chitta. So we get the 4 Lobha, 2 out of the 8 Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka, 1 out of the 3 Ahetuka Kusala Ahetuka Kriya Chitta, half of the Sobhana Chitta, so we get 12 there in total. And now look at the Rupāvachara. According to the 4 jhana system, there are 3 Kusala. According to the 5 jhana system, 4. That is why we have given 3/4. And then looking at the Lokuttara, in total, we may get, in total, there are 32 if you're considering the 4 jhana system, or 40 if you're considering the 5 jhana system. So out of them, 12 Magga and 12 Phala will be Sukha according to the 4 jhana system, and 16 if it's according to the 5 jhana system. So we have to consider both of these, the 4 jhana system and the 5 jhana system, because the text in the Atthakatha Kanda is given as tika chatukka jhana. That is why we are talking about both these systems here. So looking at the Rupāvachara and the Lokuttara Chitta, you may get 9 according to the 4 jhana system, or 12 in total according to the 5 jhana system. And when it comes to the Lokuttara Chitta, you may get 24 according to the 4 jhana system, or 32 Chitta according to the 5 jhana system. And what we have given here is that summary image, which gives you the breakdown of these different Chittas. So, in a nutshell, taking all of it and looking at what we get under Sukhāya Vedanā sampayuttā dhammā, what are the ultimate realities? So basically, we get 19 Kāmāvachara Chitta, 4 Kusala, 4 Akusala, the Lobha Chitta, and 6 Kusala Vipaka and 5 Kriya. And Rupāvachara, depending on which jhana system, we would get 9 or 12 in total. So that is the 3 or 4 Kusala Vipaka and Kriya jhana. And Lokuttara, similarly, you get either 24 or 32 in total. We get Magga Chitta and Phala Chitta. And associated with this consciousness are 46 Chetasika. Now look carefully at this. You don't get all 52 Chetasika. And we will see why we don't get all of them in the next couple of slides. So basically, we don't get Vedana, Dosa, Issa, Maccharya, Kukuccang, and Vicikiccha. So why is Vedana excluded from this triplet? We've already spoken about it. It is because there is only one Vedana associated with the consciousness and the other mental factors. So because there is only one Vedana, there cannot be another Vedana for it to be associated with. Therefore, we don't consider Vedana as part of this triplet. And why aren't there any Arupavachara Chittuppada classified under this term? Now, as we mentioned, all Arupavachara Chittuppada are Upekha Ekaggata Chittani. There is no Sukha Vedana in any of these Chitta. That is why none of the Arupavachara Chitta are considered under this first term. Now we come to the remaining Chetasika, which were excluded from the triplet. Or rather the term. Why are Dosa, Issa, Maccharya, Kukuccha excluded from this term? Dosa, Issa, Maccharya, and Kukuccha. These are all Chetasika that are exclusively associated with Dosa Chitta, hatred-rooted Chitta. So if it's a hatred-rooted Chitta, the Vedana in those chitta are always domanassa. You will never have a dosa chitta with a somanassa. You can never have a pleasurable sensation or a pleasurable feeling while you're being angry or while you're having hatred. Therefore, dosa, issa, maccharya, kukuccha, which are exclusively arising in association with dosa chitta, will not be included in this first term of the triplet. And Vicikiccha. Vicikiccha is also excluded from this term, not triplet, it has to be term. So Vicikiccha arises only in association with the Vicikiccha Mohamula Chitta, the delusion-rooted consciousness. And as you all know, both Mohamula Chitta are associated with Upekka Vedana, equanimity. Therefore, again, Vicikiccha, the Chetasika, since it is exclusively associated with the Vicikiccha Chitta, which is again a Upekka Vedana Chitta, it will not be classified under the first term, the Sukhāya vedanāya sampayuttā dhammā. So with that, we come to the end of our talk today. We can take a couple of questions if there are any. So there was one question before, and that is, I mentioned that Upekka Vedana can either be physical or mental. And the question is, but Kaya Vijnana can be associated only with Dukkha or Sukha Vedana, isn't that right? Yes, so according to the 5 divisions, the Indriya Veda of Vedana, we said that it could either be Sukha, Dukkha, Somanassa, Domanassa, and Upekka. So Sukha and Dukkha is exclusively based on the Vedana that is associated with the Kaya Vijnana. Somanassa and Domanassa are the mental pleasurable and mental displeasure that one would feel. However, Upekka can either be the mental equanimity, or it could also be the Upekka Vedana, which is associated with the Chakku, Sota, Gana, Jibha, Vijnana, Chitta, because they are always Upekka regardless of what the object is, whether it's a pleasurable, whether it's something which is pleasing to the eye, or whether it's something displeasing. What the Chakku Vijnana, Chitta, is always Upekka Vedana. You won't get Sukha Vedana or Dukkha Vedana for that. That is why I mentioned that it could either be physical or mental when it comes to the Upekka Vedana, but it was not with reference to the Kaya Vijnana. Right. So you can forward any question to the following email address, or you can post any question in the group chat. We will be having another quiz based on this lesson as well, and you can answer them. And the answers will be provided once you submit your answers. Yes, there is another question. May I say that the first 4 pairs of consciousnesses are considered mental and not physical? Am I right, please? Yes. So if you consider the first 5 pairs of consciousness that we get under the ahetuka vipaka, you get the eye consciousness, you get the ear, chakku, sota, gana, jivha, kaya. Okay, so eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. So these 5 are the consciousness that arises in those 5, the panchadvara, the 5 vara or the doors. So basically what we consider as physical pain or physical pleasure is the kaya vijnana. That is correct. However, the chakku vijnana, the sota, gana, and jivha, they are all vijnana that arises due to contact with an external object, actually. So if you get the visual object and you get the eye sensitivity, the chakku pasada, the image of that visual object has to come into contact with that pasada rupa. So the contact is so subtle. The Dhammasaṅgaṇī describes it as the contact is like cotton wool meeting cotton wool. So when cotton wool meets cotton wool, there is hardly any, it's very subtle. So there is no room for developing either sukha or dukkha, which is why, because that contact is so subtle, that is why it generates an upekka vedana. But when it comes to physical contact, it's very gross. It's the description is given. Let's say you have a metal surface and you have a little piece of cotton wool on top of it, and you take a hammer and you hit the metal surface, and that cotton wool is what is considered as the kaya pasada rupa. So when that cotton wool gets squashed between those 2 metal surfaces, the sensation that arises will be more gross. That is why you either feel, depending on what contact it is, it will either be pleasurable or painful. So it's a very gross sort of sensation. That is why immediately, as soon as you get that contact, you will feel either pleasure or pain. Whereas for the eye, ear, nose, and the tongue, the contact is so subtle, all you can get is upekka vedana. You will not get sukha or dukkha. But the contact is basically at the physical level. It's not at the mental level. That is why I said physical. They are, all chitta chetasika are mental. Don't get confused there. Even the kaya vijnana is mental. Even the kaya, the vedana associated with the kaya vijnana is also mental. It is also a nama dhamma. But where it arises is on basically the body. So that is why I divided them as mental and physical. But all nama dhamma, all consciousness, and all vedana are mental aggregates. Don't get confused there. So the next lesson will be on the 26th of May at the usual time. We will conclude our lesson by sharing merits now. Akasatta Chibummata Deva Naga Mahitika Punyantang Anumodita Chiran Rakkantu Sasanam Chiran Rakkantu Desanam Chiran Rakkantu Mamparam Idamme Nyatinang Hotu Sukita Hotu Nyatayo Idamme Nyatinang Hotu Sukita Hotu Nyatayo Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñāteyo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamu sataṁ samagayuno hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Idamme punyaṁ asavakkya vaham hotu. Idamme punyaṁ nibbanassa paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagaṁ sabba sattānaṁ bhājemi. Te sabbe me samaṁ punya bhagaṁ labantu. Buddhasasanam chiram tittatu. Buddhasasanam chiram tittatu. Buddhasasanam chiram tittatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, Doctor.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.